like Thanksgiving existed before the Pilgrims, and in many indigenous cultures, Thanksgiving is celebrated many different ways, multiple times a year. So we're going to get into that a little bit because it also is Native American History Month this month.
Native, not American.
Native History Month, and so in solidarity, that's what this first portion of this discussion is going to be about before we move on to the soul food portion.
Can you define indigenous for this group or your conversation at this time?
In this massacre, not only did they kill and murder men, older people, children, but every person that was murdered, the woman, their breasts will be cut off, their genitalia will be cut off and made into tobacco pouches, and their ears will be cut off and put into necklaces, and they will parade down the street, and they will be
Pain?
Yes.
Do you see healing, overcoming what happened in the past?
No. As like my crew knows a bit about my story, but a lot of you guys don't. I'm adopted. My adopted family is African American. So I learned a lot of the African nations, their stories, traditions, and I was very lucky to have the family that I have because they're very traditional. They have not succumbed to the ways.
Somebody, so we got fed with knowledge on what this recent holiday is really about, how it came about, and now we're going to actually get to the meat and potatoes of the soul food discussion by talking about food. And I think it's very applicable to the lost culture that we both share, that indigenous people and Africans share. There's a shared experience of losing your history, which includes knowledge of where our food comes from, traditional preparation methods, and one of the things about soul food is that it gets a bad rap because of that. Like, there's a lot of judgment around eating soul food, positive or negative, but especially with how we're trying to get healthier as we go along, there's a lot of judgment about it being unhealthy. When in fact, like, one of the things about soul food originally, which is different from today, is that it was originally celebration food. So you didn't eat it often, and it was cooked with better ingredients. And in the shaming of eating soul food, I feel like there's also some anti-blackness in there because of the ignorance about how we prepare food. And if you look at soul food and you look at how food is prepared across the African diaspora, there are a lot of similarities. So originally soul food.
People don't realize how much food is holding us back.
And in a period of 4 years, he liberated his people from the neo-colonial French government and instituted an actual equitable society and provided for all his people. But prior to that, when he was building the revolutionary process, he talked to his people and everything. He addressed them in many ways, and people would say to him, he said, people would ask me, where is imperialism? Where is this imperialism coming from? And he'd say, just look down at your plate. That's where the imperialism comes from. In Africa, in his country in particular, we have the capabilities to provide more than what we need for ourselves in food, clothing, housing, etc. But what we're having imported grains, imported corn, imported rice, all these different things when we should be providing for ourselves. So food is also central, and this is how he summed it up. The person who feeds you has the ability to control you. And so that's part of where the necessity of, food liberation comes in, which is, when you can